way, the truth, the life, watchers. Hello again, welcome to the show. Got another video here for you. This one's going to be about Ezekiel's vision. So, Ezekiel, he was a prophet, and God came to him and gave him a message. But if you can imagine it, when Ezekiel's seen God in front of him, he would have been in awe. It would have been, it was all supernatural. It was a spiritual being, When he was looking at him, all he seen was it was God's throne on a chariot. It was like a big fiery chariot, and all its glory. And back then, because obviously people back then had more faith than they do now. So obviously they believed in God, and it was obviously probably a normal thing to see. But Ezekiel met with God, and God basically gave him a message. He basically told him that you're going to see dreams and visions, and you're going to be telling people, but none of them are going to believe you for what's going to come. But when it happens, obviously in the end they will believe you. So just going on about Ezekiel's vision here with because at the minute, what's going on in our skies, people don't understand what's going on, and I just want to put my take on it. I want to put a different spin on things, and what I see is spiritual beings, the spirits, the glorified bodies. When Jesus died on the cross, he got a glorified body. It was a spirit, and it shot up. And it's the same with these. These are fallen angels. They were cast out of heaven, and because there was a coup in heaven, because of Satan, because he had all his pride, he wanted to overtake God, which wasn't going to happen. So a third of them got cast out of heaven. So it ran in the millions. So there's millions of them here with us, and these, so they get these spirit bodies, the glorified bodies, and it's all supernatural. People, when they're seeing these things and they're morphing into things, they're transforming into things, whatever you want to call it, mimicking things. The fallen angels, the ones that got cast out. When people see like portals in the sky, like 1 minute they're here, 1 minute they're not here, they're coming back into view, then they're not into view, and they're darting here, there, everywhere, and they're blinking in the sky, and they're going into other dimensions. They're not from outer space, they're not from Mars, they're going into other dimensions, because in the Bible, it mentions in the Bible that they're from heavenly, there's heavenly places. I'll just read a quick verse here. It's Ephesians, and it was 1:3. Blessed be the God, Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Christ. And again, it's in 2:6. Have raised us up together, made us sit together in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. So it's there. And you've got this one as well. This is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. So I'll just read this one. Put on the whole armour of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. High places like realms, dimensions, heavenly places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armour of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So it's there. There's just another one there for you. Yeah, so these heavenly places, it's there. It's telling you in the Bible. You know, that these dimensions that they're going, they're not from Mars. They want you to believe they're from Mars. They've took on these fallen angels that got cast out that are here with us, with Satan. They've took on a new identity. They're calling themselves aliens from outer space. They're not. They're coming back into from these dimensions. These dimensions are heavenly places. So because there is other heavenly realms, if you want to call them realms, and they've just took on a new identity because it's all about deception. It's total deception, father of lies. That's what Satan does, and people are sleepwalking into it. And this is what I'm saying: when the rapture happens, people are going to disappear. The ones that are saved, and what will happen is people are going to say, "Well, where's all these?" And they're going to have to come up with a an excuse. They're going to have to tell the people that my opinion is they're going to turn around and say the aliens have took them and they've had to go for reprogramming, or they're going to come up with some idea, because this thing, what's been building up since I was a lad anyway, it goes right back to the 1940s, 1960s. These UFO movies, what they've been bringing out since I was a kid, it's all programming. They're programming you for what's coming down the road, and they're building up to this moment, I think, and I think it's to do with the rapture. And when they come, people are going, they're aliens from outer space. Well, they're not. They just took on a new identity because they're fooling you. They want you to believe that they're these things like the Marvel films. They have these saviors, these beings that come, and and this is what's going to happen. They're going to come when the rapture happens, and they'll probably turn around and say, "We've made you." When no, they haven't made you. God made you. He's our creator, and that's what's coming down the road, and it's just total deception. And these things where they're going through and they disappear in the portals, they're just going into other dimensions and these heavenly places, and these beings, the principalities, the ruler of darkness. That's what they are, and they're morphing into things, they're mimicking things, and what I've never understood, people believe in aliens, but they don't believe in Jesus. I've never understood that one. You know what I mean? And then you got the drones in New York, but they're all over. They always, in the media, it's always about New Jersey, New York. But these drones that they can't explain. There is drones that we've got, but obviously people have seen these drones morphing into drones, and they're all around the world. They're not just in New York, and the glorified bodies, the spirits, and there was a guy that I watched, a pilot, and he seen what was it now? It was a tic tac, what they call a tic tac, and he seen UAPs, and he said the G forces of these UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, when they're darting here, there, everywhere, he said a human body it just won't able to take the pressure of the G forces. He said if a human body was inside one of these UFOs as a pilot, the body won't able to sustain it. It'll end up being like jello. It'll end up in jello, and that's what I'm saying. They're not. Obviously, human bodies are not piloting these crafts. The spirits, the glorified bodies. That's what happened to Jesus when he died. He got a glorified body. They're not got the same bodies as us, and just to put a different spin on things. That's why it's all supernatural. They can do what they want in these crafts. It's fallen angel technology. There was another guy that I watched that worked for the Pentagon, and he was quite high up. This guy, he had a team with him, and they were investigating. I think it was slightly over 2 years of investigating when they changed the term of UFO to a UAP. They were investigating these UAPs, and they were getting closer and closer to finding out something. They didn't really go into detail of what they were going to find out, but some top officer that was upstairs in the Pentagon come down and said to this guy, this investigation's over, finish it up, we'll put you on to another investigating job, whatever you want to call it. He put him on to like another job, and he didn't really want to do it, and he said, well, we're getting close to this thing, what we're doing. And he just said to the top officer, said to this guy, he said, if I was you, he said, these beings that you're investigating, or aliens, that what you want to call them, aliens, he said, they're not aliens. And this guy was puzzled, and he's actually come out on interviews, and he's exposed it. And he said to this officer, he said, what do you mean, beings? Why are you calling them beings? Like, he said, he said beings, and this top officer said to him, he said, they're not aliens. He said, these beings that you're investigating, he said, the spirits, the demonic spirits. He said, have you got it? And he said to the guy, he said, have you got a Bible at home? And he went, no. He said, well, I advise you go and get a Bible and read up on it. And this guy was puzzled. From that day on, then he was puzzled. He was scratching his head. And this officer said to him, the demonic beings, the supernatural, they're not what you think. What you're looking at there, and what the people around the world are looking at, are demonic beings. And that's what I'm saying. The fallen angels. That's what it's about. Just to put a different spin on things to make people understand. Yeah, and also you've got these aliens. Obviously, they took on like a double agent, aren't they? They've took on another identity, which is they're calling themselves aliens from outer space, but obviously they're just fallen angels that got cast out of heaven. They always say, don't they, these scientists around the world, they've come out and they said if they ever come down to, say they always say, don't they, if they landed on the White House lawn to meet the people and meet the president, or whatever you want to call it, they would be hostile to us. They wouldn't be nice to us. And that makes me laugh, that, because they're obviously there, aren't they? They're there darting around, and they've got a chance to come down now. They've got all this technology which is beyond our comprehend. We can't comprehend it in our mind because it's beyond our comprehension. It's beyond us, isn't it? And they're supposed to be hostile, these scientists say. So it makes me laugh, because they could easily come down now. If you be true to yourself, and if you think about it, they could come down now and overtake us easily, because their technology is beyond us. It's laughable, because they could come down here and do it, but they've not done it, have they? And no one's asking the question why they've not done it. And the reason why they can't do it is because it'd be forbidden by God. They're not allowed to step in now. They can only do it in the tribulation. Step in. They're waiting for the rapture. They're waiting for that moment. They can't wait for this rapture to happen to get the people that were saved out of the way. Then they can start with this beast system. That's what it's all about. They're just fooling people, and and that's what God's saying. If they did come down now, it says in the Bible, if them days are shortened, then God would have to step in to pull the church, which is the rapture, and obviously they don't want to do that, because they don't want to go to, they would have to go to hell a lot earlier than they should, if you know what I mean. So they're not going to do it. That's why they've not come down here. And if they did come down, they would be hostile, because they are hostile, and they're not aliens. They're fallen angels. They're not for you. They're against you. They're fooling you. Double agent. Double identity, and this is what I'm saying. They're just fooling people. So if they did come down, God would have to shorten the days. That says He'll have to shorten the days. The days would be shortened. It says in those days, if them days are shortened, and they've not done it. So yeah, just putting that one out there. And I'm just looking in my journal there. Yeah, so that's, so when Ezekiel had that vision, when he couldn't, he seen God, and he was on that fiery chart, that was the God's throne. That to him that would have been, well, you would have been in awe, but it would have been normal to them because they believed, their faith was through the roof. They believed in God, and they knew that He was there. Like today, it's over time sin has set in, and it's got worse, and it people's faith has diminished, and this is what I'm saying with it. And I'm just going to go into that was Ezekiel, that wasn't it? So I'm going to go into like Enoch and the Watchers. So just to cut the story short, we had the Tower of Babel, didn't we, in the Old Testament, and it was like that was like a one world government what they were trying to form there, and they were building this tower, and it was forbidden from God. God, you shouldn't be doing it. It's forbidden. And they were trying to build this tower, and this tower, it got destroyed by God because they were going against God. And the story is that he destroyed it, and then what he did was he split the land up, and the people in the land, what he did is he gave them all different languages. So that's why today you get all people in different countries speaking different languages. So he confused the situation. It was confusion. So when they were trying to talk to each other, they couldn't carry on building this Tower of Babel because it was abomination to God. He shouldn't be doing it. So he split the land up. He confused the languages. So they're all speaking different languages, and that's why they get the term Babel. So when you used to see parents walking around, I've heard parents say to the kids, they used to say to kids, stop babbling on, because that's the term that was used because of the Tower of Babel, because that's what God did, didn't he confused the languages so people couldn't understand what they were saying. And it's the same with a kid, because obviously when a kid is young, they can't really, they're not talking either properly when they're young. So, and that's why you see that parents say to the kids, stop babbling on. That's where they get the term from. And but going from that to this now, Mount Hermon, when the Watchers were on Mount Hermon, and they did a covenant where what it was, the Watchers, 200 Watchers were here on Earth, and they were here to watch over mankind. They were here to steer us. They were here to guide us. They were here to, for advice. But what happened was they turned evil. They ended up going the other way, and they started giving out heavenly secrets to our people, and it was forbidden. It was forbidden knowledge. I'm just looking at my journal, what I've jotted down here. So they were giving out forbidden knowledge. They were giving out false. They were like showing mankind how to have false religions. Astrologer, astronomer. They were doing witchcraft, showing them how to do that. Magic, sorcerer. But they were supposed to be here for our human development. But obviously they went the other way, and they betrayed God in every way, and they shouldn't have been doing it. And how they betrayed God was they were looking at our women, and they seen our women as fair game, because they were beautiful, and they were not allowed to have kids, offsprings. They weren't allowed to have marriage, and it was forbidden. And what they did, they ended up going against God, and they did it. They ended up marrying our women and basically mating with them. And then what happened then? They had obviously kids of their own, but they weren't what you think they were, because if you mix angelic DNA with human DNA, it's abomination. It shouldn't, it just doesn't. It ended up being like a hybrid. So, And that's where in the Bible it says Nephilim. They were called the Nephilim. They ended up like giants, the offspring, and that's when Noah's Ark come in. That's when God said to Noah, build the ark because I'm going to flood the earth because of the evil. And that's because we had these giants, the Nephilim, on the land. They were cannibals. They were eating humans. They were, they're ruling the land. And these watchers wanted their offspring to rule earth, to be the rulers of the earth. And it was forbidden by God. He betrayed God in all counts. And and it got out of control, and that's why God said to Noah, build the ark, I'm going to flood the earth to reset it again, because you've got the purest DNA. And obviously he was keeping up with the commandments, and he wasn't sinning. They were probably the best out of the bunch in the world, and so they betrayed God. And what they did, the offspring of these watchers, these angelic beings, because the glorified body, the spirits, the offspring, the watchers, and what they did was they were teaching them warfare. They were teaching them how to make swords, how to fight with swords. They even teach them how to about paint. Like painting and stuff like that, like makeup, like women have makeup now, and there's a story goes that they did that because the hybrids or the offspring, or they wanted to hide the looks of what they look like, so that they were painting the faces and doing all sorts of things. They teach them about stones. There's all sorts that you can go into with it. They were angelic beings and they were supernatural, and it was a total abomination, because what that was they were mixing their seed with human DNA, and it was abomination. It's forbidden. You shouldn't be doing it. And Enoch was sent. Enoch was sent by God's come to Enoch, and he said, can you go and send a message to these watchers, these 200 watchers? Because Enoch turned up at Mount Hermon, and they were there, and he said, I've got a message for you, that you've betrayed God, and he's not happy with you, and there's going to be consequences for this. You're going to be sent to Hades, hell, Tartarus, whatever you want to call it. You're going to be bound up and you're going to be chained. And they were, you can imagine it, can't you? These watchers, these powerful beings, they were upset, they were weeping. They were getting up, they were going amongst each other, fighting amongst each other, blaming each other. You can imagine it, blaming the one and then the other. And they must have said to Enoch, is there no way that God's going to change his mind? And God said, and Enoch said, no, he's not going to change his mind. What you've done, you've done. You're going to have to lie in your bed, as they say. You made your bed, you're going to lie in it, aren't you? So, and what they did then, these watchers, they basically said to each other then, well, we've made our bed, we're lying in it. He's not going to change his mind, so we might as well carry on doing it. And that's where the sin got worse and worse, and that's why it got too much, and that's why that flood come. That's why the flood come, and they won't change their minds. And then Satan come with his fallen angels they got cast out of heaven, the third, which ran into the millions. Because of that, Satan's pride, Lucifer, he wanted to overthrow God, but obviously it didn't work. He wanted, there's a coup in heaven, and that's what I'm saying. And they come down and basically started an allegiance with the Watchers, because obviously the Watchers then, they were fallen like the fallen angels, so they all stuck together then. So that's why we're at war. That's why all this war, and this is what I'm saying, and what's going on now in the world, and people are seeing things that they can't explain, and they're starting to see creatures, and they're starting to see demons. People are starting to see things, because the rapture is on the doorstep. It's getting closer and closer, and yeah, it's yeah, that's how the story goes. I'm afraid in the Bible, but the rapture's there. The tribulation's on the doorstep, and they can see these fallen angels, these things that people are seeing around the world. They keep showing, they're making an appearance around the world, and they get, that's because they know what the watchmen know. The watchmen are watching the signs around the world, and they know, like we know the rapture's on the doorstep, it's coming, and they know it's coming as well. And when the rapture happens, they're going to make an appearance because they're building up to this moment. And that's what all this programming was about, all these movies. So, because imagine if you didn't have all these science fiction movies like Star Wars, Star Trek, what was the other one now? I think it was in the 60s or something, or 50s. Yeah, you had these movies, didn't you? Like that was another one. Was it? I don't know. It was the 60s or 50s. I might be wrong, but I used to watch it when I was a lad. It was when the Earth stood still. Like you had all these movies like that, and they're all programming you. You had the Roswell incident in the 40s, and this is what I'm saying. It's all been out programming you to this point, and they're not just doing it for our entertainment. They're doing it because something. Because these fallen angels, they've took on an identity. They're just spirits. They're just darting around. Their technology is so advanced. It's supernatural. It all comes from God, and because at the minute there's a beginning and there's an end, Alpha and Omega, and we're at the cusp of we're at the end of the end times, and this is what's going to happen, and. People need to get saved, and this is what I'm saying, that, the world is just a stage. That's my opinion on it. It's just a stage, and, people are sleepwalking into it. You have to start start waking up and learning the truth, get your Bible out, get your A to Z out, the meaning of life, and come to the truth of it. And, so I'll finish up on this, and I'll wrap this video up, and I hope someone's enjoyed this video, and I hope you get something out of it, and I hope some people might learn something out of it, and it might help someone in any way. So I'll leave it there. So all I'll say is bye, see ya, and as usual, shalom.